Hey, it's Constance Carter. I'm back. I'm back short. My hair is short again. Oh my God. All right. So, yesterday, last week, I was on my live. I talked about bankruptcy and my experience with bankruptcy, and it resonated with a lot of people. A lot of the things that I had gone through with my bankruptcy had resonated with a lot of people, and so I've been getting tons of text messages, inboxes, emails, phone calls about that very subject because it seems to be a situation that a lot of people are in. And so I just want to dispel some of the myths about bankruptcy, number one. But number two, I want to just tell you the difference between the different types of bankruptcy. My story is this. I started making a whole lot of money very early on in my career. I was 26 when I first started in the real estate business and immediately started making a lot of money. Six figures, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 sometimes. In real estate, it goes up and down. So I never made under a six-figure income. And so sometimes when you're young and even though you have the best intentions, the more money you make, what happens? The more money you spend. And for me, I ended up overextending myself and filing bankruptcy. I hit rock credit bottom when I filed bankruptcy. So had 800 plus credit score and went all the way down to I got to remember 349 or 379. And so for me, for anybody, that's rock bottom because 300 is the lowest you can go on your credit. So after the bankruptcy, I established myself and the rest is history. But because of my story, so many people said they share similar stories or they kind of wanted to know what's the difference between like a chapter 13 and a chapter 7. So I want to tell you the difference between the two. And then I'll take questions. And I only really want to be on here to 12:30 because I got stuff to do. So chapter 7, a chapter 7 completely wipes your debt away. So if you file a chapter 7, your debt is pretty much gone. So for me, I filed a chapter 7. Went into bankruptcy court. And the thing about when I went to bankruptcy court, because I made so much money, for typically the way it was, and I went during the market crash, and there were a ton of people in there, and they were in and out. They would go before the judge or the people on the board, and they were in and out 15 seconds. Oh, you're out. For me, they grilled me for 15 minutes. And it was scary because I made, a good amount of money. They looked at my bank statements and they seen all this money in, but they also seen all this money going out. And so then they grilled me for 15 minutes and I answered all the questions, calm and poised because I was telling the truth. And afterwards, I could just remember my bankruptcy attorney said, I was so afraid for you. You did so good. I was so nervous because, they had grilled me. But I was able to justifiably file the chapter 7. So I went in there, I put all my debt in there, collections, credit cards, just a bunch of stuff. And even my houses, I put my houses in bankruptcy at the time because they were upside down. They had no value. And so, I ended up short selling them later on, but it prevented the mortgage companies from coming after me and trying to take the house temporarily. So I did all of that stuff. And then when I walked out, debt was gone. Didn't have to look back, didn't have to worry about it. The phone calls ceased immediately. I didn't get any more phone calls. So that's the chapter 7. For me, the chapter 7 is the best thing. A chapter 13, though, is a repayment. Okay, so you're repaying your debt. Why do people do a chapter 13? If they make too much where they don't qualify for a chapter 7. So for me, I made a lot, but my debt was so high that I was able to justifiably file a chapter 7 at the time. But if you make so much and you're just not able to qualify for a chapter 7, then you do a chapter 13. The 13 is a repayment. If you have a house, say you want to, you have some debt, but you want to keep your house or you want to reestablish your payment, you've gotten behind, and maybe your mortgage company just refuses to work with you and they're going to foreclose, well, you do a chapter 13 to reestablish that. If you have tax liens, a lot of people will do a chapter 13 for their tax liens. If you have student loan debt, because there's two things that you cannot get rid of with a chapter 7 bankruptcy. You cannot get rid of taxes and you can't get rid of student loans. Any kind of federal debt, you're pretty much stuck with them until death do you part. So I always recommend, if you can, to try to do a chapter 7. Unless you genuinely just want to pay your debt back, and that's really noble of you, and that's great, and all that good stuff. But if you're gonna, my opinion is, if you're gonna mess up your credit anyway, you might as well just go all in and get rid of the debt completely. Because the problem is 2/3 of Americans who actually file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, they never completed. So a friend of mine called me last week, and she said, hey, she said, I just left my attorney's office. I'm filing Chapter 13, and I just wanted to know, what do you think? How long is it going to take me to get to buy a home after this? I said, you filing Chapter 13? Why are you filing Chapter 13, girl? And she said, I'm filing Chapter 13 because of my taxes. I owe $30,000 in taxes. And I said, okay, well, if you want to know how long it's going to take you to get into a house, it's going to take you about 7 years, because your Chapter 13 is 5 years. And then you got to wait another 2 years on top of that. So see, with the Chapter 7, you can get into a home immediately if you're a veteran, but 2 years on, say, an FHA loan. So if you're going to file if you're going to file Chapter 13, you need to keep in mind, number one, it's going to take a minute. It might be 5 years before you're out of that Chapter 13, and then another 2 years before you are able to purchase a home. So keep that in mind. So here's what I told her. I said, look, do not go through with that Chapter 13. I said, how much do you have in, your property or in your income taxes? She said $30,000. I said, I want you to call the IRS right now and make payment arrangements, and maybe even do an offer and compromise. Now, I'm not an attorney, so I'm not trying to advise you on what to do. This is just me giving my friends friendly advice. You have to decide what's best for you. But I said, call the IRS, make payment arrangements. Don't put that in a Chapter 13, because that's just going to prevent you. You could have tax debt if you want to buy a house, but what you can't have is, you can't be in a current bankruptcy if you want to own a home. So I said, make some payment arrangements. Get the payment down to that what's affordable to you, and even maybe do an offer and compromise where you can get that paid off sooner. She did that, called them up, and they were like, yeah, we'll go ahead and work with you. And then she had another debt for the state of California. And so same thing. I said, go ahead and call that and negotiate, because you can better negotiate yourself rather than having to go through the entire bankruptcy process and spend 7 years without being able to get into a home, unless you're already in a home. So say if you're already in a home and you're trying to save your home, okay, that's one thing. But if you don't have a home and you want to try to get into a home, don't do a Chapter 13, okay? Do a Chapter 7, get that mug over with, get into a house in 2 years, get your credit back on track, and don't extend that time period out. She's 40 now. She's going to be darn near 50 before she's able to buy a house, because she's waiting on this dang on Chapter 13 to expire. So I said, listen, once you've negotiated with the IRS, take my training. You don't even have to get into a Chapter 7, because I looked at her other debt and I was like, okay, you don't have enough debt really to justify doing a Chapter 7 at this point. Get in my training program, start working on your credit, and I promise you, probably within a year, we can get you into a home based upon what I see. And so that's what she did. And so she's working on her credit now. But as far as a Chapter 13, I think they're absolutely wonderful for me. But I just really don't recommend doing a Chapter 13 unless you absolutely have to. So I'll take your questions. Emmy said, I have decent score, but a medical bill recently hit. Will it affect my score if I settle? All right, Emmy, so it depends. So if it recently hit your score, the law as of October, I believe it was, as of October, medical collections have to give you, after they report, at minimum 90 days to cure that debt, and they have to remove it from your credit report. So you still have an opportunity to go in there and get that and pay it and have it removed. If you have medical insurance, call your medical insurance, have them take care of it. But what's been happening is when people go to the hospital, a lot of times these hospitals will immediately put your stuff, your collection on your credit report, and they can no longer do that. A couple years ago, the credit bureaus were sued with the way that they were reporting, and so now they've had to revamp how they were reporting, and so medical collections is actually one of them. So go ahead and do that. Sophia, my program is called Build Credit to Build Wealth, the Blueprint for a Wealthy Credit Score, and I put it together. I have a book. It's a bestseller called Keeping Score: What You Need to Know to Make Your Credit Score Grow. That's been great. It's helped a lot of people, but a lot of times people needed a little bit more help, and they needed step by step. And so what I know is, I believe 66% of people, and I put this posted on Facebook today, 66% of Americans who actually go through credit repair end up getting back into the same situation that they were in before. And so I designed this program so that you can understand how to obtain, maintain, and sustain good credit so that you'll never get into this situation again. Not only that, but you'll be able to help your mama, your cousin, your auntie, and your children. My daughter is 18 years old with an 850 credit score. And so my goal is for everybody to be able to give this information, provide this information to everybody so that everybody around you can get good credit. Okay, so it's called Build Credit to Build Wealth. It's on mywealthroadmap.com. So if you're anywhere on my page, Nobody Works Harder Than Constance Carter. I have information about it all over the place. The successes, people are increasing their scores 200 points. And I predicted it would be in 90 days. People are increasing their scores 200 points in a month if they do the program right. So the cool thing about the program is you get the online training, and then you get invited to a private exclusive Facebook group where we all share and we help one another. And I also do coaching within that Facebook group. So it's not like, you're just all alone in the program. We're actually helping you because I'm invested in your success to make sure that that you're successful in your credit journey. So the program is, hey, okay. Oh yeah, hey, Miss Sophia. So the program is normally $497, and right now I think for the Christmas special it's $175 for one payment. My marketing people, they killing me, and it's 2 payments of $97. So if you're interested in getting into the program, I would love to be able to help you with your credit journey, and all of the people in the group can do the same thing. So we're all helping one another, and we've had some really, really good wins and really good successes and things that you don't understand. I'm able to answer them on a personal level because I don't do credit repair. I just don't have time. I run a business. So that's it. What is your take on stocks? I'm intimidated but intrigued about starting. Emmy, it's wonderful, and you need to just kind of study it. I talk about investing all the time. I do day trading. I do stock investment. I've invested in a marijuana dispensary, so I strongly believe in investing. And one of the things about the wealth gap, especially with people of color and white people, is we have people of color have most of our investment in real estate, which is a great way to invest. The other people have the majority, majority Americans, they have their money tied up in a multitude of investments. So they diversify their investment portfolio. And so stocks are good. I talk about in some of my other live videos, if you want to look at that, I talk about some micro stocks that you can start investing in right now. Just kind of get your feet wet, but you don't necessarily have to just jump all the way in. I'm a big risk taker. I like to go all in, but that's just the way I am. I'm not a gambler. I will not, you can get me in Vegas and you will not get me on a slot machine. But when it comes to talking about investing and investing in stock, because I'm looking at the trends and I'm doing my research, then that is more of a indicator of what's going to happen. And so I don't believe in taking, gambles, but I do believe in taking risks and investments. So, okay, cool. So Emmy says she just heard about Acorns, and it all depends on how much you're spending, what's your spending pattern. Acorns is a good one. Stash is another good one. It's like Acorns. So I definitely recommend probably trying both of those. Okay. And my website, so James, the website, if you're looking for my website for the online training program, it is called mywealthroadmap.com. And then we also have, like I said, an exclusive Facebook group. So if you purchase the program, you get invited to the Facebook group. And again, we just have a lot of wins. I had somebody text me today, and she didn't post it in the group just yet, but where is it at? She just said in a couple weeks, she's already increased her score 23 points. Actually, that was in a week and a half being in my program. 23 points on her Equifax. Look at this. 23 points on her Equifax, 19 points on her Experian. And she got that from myfico.com. So we have great success stories. It's not a game. And I mean, of course, you have me to help you in your credit journey. So why not join the program? So does anybody have any questions about any of the bankruptcy stuff first? I saw your email, your comment, Mila. Does anybody have any questions about the bankruptcy? I'm not an attorney again, and so I just want to. I'm giving you advice from my perspective. So I'm not trying to sway you one way or another, but I know this: most Americans do not finish Chapter 13 bankruptcy. It's more expensive than a Chapter 7. And you're going to, it's more long term. So you're going to be doing it, you got to be committed to doing it for 5 years. And most people don't have the commitment. So what happens is these bankruptcy attorneys, if they'll make money on the 13, they'll get you in the 13. You might do a good 8 months. And that's just about average. And then you'll end up saying, I just can't finish this bankruptcy. And you'll end up filing the Chapter 7. So they get paid doubly. They get paid on the 13, which is more expensive than the 7 anyway. And then they end up getting paid on the 7. And so most attorneys will not, especially the ones that do the Chapter 13, it's just more beneficial to them because they know the likelihood of you finishing that 13 is not very high based upon statistical data. So if you have to do it, do the 7 if you have to. If not, we can talk about how we can help you get in position to help with your credit score, get your credit score up. And how do we negotiate those debt? Like I help my friend. I helped her ask the right questions, and those are the things that we do. So yes, Othelia, does my program help with credit inquiries on your file? Yes. In fact, I just, even last month, and I mentioned it on one of my earlier lives, that I have really good credit, but I have a lot of inquiries because of the business that I'm in. My credit is pulled very, very often just because I have to get approval with different lenders and whatnot because I own a mortgage company. And I got all my inquiries removed and my credit score went up. I want to say, did it go up? Did I get 20 inquiries removed and it went up 30 points, or I got 30 inquiries removed and it went up 20 points? One of those, I can't remember, but I talk about it in one of my earlier lives, but it really made a difference. Inquiries are really only 10% of your credit pie, but for me, I had so many inquiries, it really affected my credit score, and so it really helped. So yeah, my program does help with that, amongst other things. Ms. Sophia, can I sell out-of-state properties? I can't personally sell out-of-state properties. I do out-of-state mortgages, but I don't do out-of-state properties, but I can certainly refer you to a good real estate professional in your area that's within my network that I've already vetted. So I have a good network all across the country. Tanasha said, the online program is great. I'm currently on Chapter 4 and the info is life-changing if you apply what you learn. Thank you, Tanasha. She's doing it. So, the other thing about the program in the group, we have a leaderboard. And so we put on there like who's doing well, who's where. And so it's like a competition going on. One gentleman in the group said he listened to how many times he said it? He said he listened to the program like 9 times, 13 times, something crazy. But he increased his score like 200 points. He listened to it so many times over the last month, and he increased his score significantly. So I try to break down credit, just like I'm talking to you. I try to break it down in a very layman's term, in my goofy way. But I'm very knowledgeable about the laws and how things work. And if you apply what I say, there's no doubt in my mind that it's going to help you with your credit score. The other thing is, for those who are already a part of the program, we have an affiliate program. So the people that you refer to the program, you actually will get a referral fee. So that's also good. It's an incentive, especially right now during Christmas. Earn some extra money, get some extra gifts, all that. I also have a money management course getting ready to come up. That is going to be finished probably within the next 30 days. This so I've seen budgeting courses all over, and I've studied a lot of budgeting courses, and it's not your typical budgeting course. It's very robust. I'm going deep. I'm showing you how to really manage your money, save money, really cut the fat, like for real, for real. I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you scripts on how to cut the fat, what to do, all that stuff. So from A to Z. You're going to be able to, I'm going to show you how you're able to take your money and have a bottom line to where you're saving. Because a lot of people do not know how to save their money. Either they save too much or they save too little, or, when you save too much, then when you get in trouble, you're going to go right back in that stash. So you have to save an amount that's going to be a considerable amount to where you will not have to touch it. I'm going to talk about how to live on a certain amount, but be able to save the other to where you'll not have to touch it until you absolutely need to. So anyway, Nicole said, when should you decide to file bankruptcy? At what financial point would you suggest? That's a good question. I was just talking about that to Glenda. We were just having this discussion. Every situation is unique. Every situation is unique. I want to say if your ability to repay exceeds, say, 5 years, right? So say you have so many collections that will impede you from purchasing a home or getting ahead or whatever exceeds like 5 years, then you may want to file bankruptcy. Okay. But if you think you can pay it off in a year or two, you might not want to file bankruptcy, but there's ways to get around that. There's ways where you can make payment arrangements while you're boosting your credit score where you don't necessarily have to file bankruptcy. I'm going to tell you my situation. I had houses, hundreds of thousands of dollars upside down. I had medical bills. I had my son. I had $30,000 collection from that. I owed taxes, and so I took a home equity line of credit out from taxes I owed from 04 and 05. That was $70,000. I ain't talking about no chump change. I'm talking about, over, probably $150,000 for me worth of debt that I had. So, $5,000, and it all depends on your personal income. But I'm saying if that right there would have taken me a hell of a long time to pay off. So that was for me. That was the reason why I did it. But if you can pay it off in a year or two, don't even bother, because it's a long-term commitment in terms of having to reestablish yourself. But you absolutely can do it. All right. Mila said, I need that program for real. My money management one is coming up. It's about to be the bomb.com, Mila McNeely. It's going to be good. I've been testing it out. Dawn Bates is doing it right now, and Glenda Owens is doing it right now, because I want to make sure that it's foolproof, that it's really effective before I release it to the public, but it's going to be good. So if nobody has any further questions, I didn't want to go beyond 12:30, but if anybody has any further questions, ask. If not, I'm going to go ahead and log on. Yep, see, Don, is it the bomb? Is my money managed program the bomb so far? It's good, right? Oh, Gwendolyn, you said investments. Let me scroll up. I think I did see it, but then I missed it. Do you counsel advise for investment purposes? Are you talking about real estate investments, or are you talking about stock investments? I'm not a stockbroker, but I'm a real estate broker, so I will advise on real estate investments. I can only really kind of give you general information on real estate investments, so I can't tell you what stock is good. I could tell you what I do, but I can't really help you on really giving you expertise advice, because that's not what I do. Sometimes I make good money, and sometimes I don't. When you're looking at investments, you have to look at the fact that you may lose, and you have to be willing to take the risk. The other thing is it's long term. So if you're doing like Acorns, if any of you guys are doing Acorn, or if you guys do Stash, and you see that it's like, okay, well, this ain't a whole lot. It's a long term thing. So you're gonna have to, before you're really able to see a really good return, it might be a year, 2 years, 3 years, but you have to be in it for the long run. It's not any get rich quick scheme, so get that out your head. We ain't at the casino, getting money real quick. It's really a long-term thing. So, it's your retirement, it's your IRA, it's your other stock investment. Start out, get you an Ameritrade account, get you or an E-Trade account, and then just start researching. I mentioned a couple of different apps. Zax is a good app. Finding Alpha. These are apps that I use, and I use Yahoo Finance when I'm looking at stock. And then Ameritrade also gives you the historical data on a particular stock. And so those are the things that I look at. But it's time consuming, but you can dip your toes in. You can start with $50, $100, $200. It doesn't have to be a whole hell of a lot of money, but you can do it, with very minimal investment, and then you could do low risk. You can decide. The cool thing about Ameritrade is there is an app called Thinkorswim. Thinkorswim, and what Thinkorswim does, what Thinkorswim does is it has a simulator where it gives you funny money where you can invest and make real investments with funny money. It's play money. So it tells you if you're going to win, if you're able to get a return with this funny money. So before you dip your toes in there, you can mess around with it with the funny money, and then you can see, oh, if I would have invested in this is what kind of return I would have gotten, or this is what kind of loss I would have made. So it gets you familiarized with the investing before you actually put your money in there. So that is a good tool as well. Okay. All right, Miss Sophia, I'm going to inbox you. You changed your name because it was like butterfly something, wasn't it? But I'll inbox you and send you the information you're in. I need to know what part of Mississippi you're in, but I'll inbox you, or you inbox me, and I'll get somebody out in your area to sell your house. Okay. All right. Asked about what you can do while in a Chapter 7 as far as your program. What program, Mila? Are you talking about I asked about what you can do while in a Chapter 7 as far as your program. Are you talking about the credit program, or are you talking about money management? So I'll wait for you to answer. I'm going to answer Frederick's question. Can a person still buy property while a Chapter 7 on their report? Yeah, I bought property with Chapter 7 on my report. Chapter 7 stays on your credit report for 10 years. Judgments, bankruptcies stay on your credit report for 10 years. You can purchase VA immediately after bankruptcy. No waiting period, depending on what you're trying to do. And for FHA, it's 2 years. And for conventional loans, it's 4 years. So absolutely, it'll be on your credit, but there's a waiting period. So yes, Frederick. What can you do? So in the Credit to Build Wealth program, I talk about actually what to do to establish yourself after bankruptcy. So yes, complete the course, Miss Mila, and there's a section or a module in there that talks about what to do after bankruptcy. So yes, it can help you with your bankruptcy. Thank you for asking. All right. All right, it's 12:30, people. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for all the good questions. I came in here talking about bankruptcy. Y'all talking about investing in stock, but it's all good. I'm open to answer any questions. And if you have any questions on anything, because I'm going to go live. I'm going to try to go live 2 times a week. I'm going to go live on Thursday as well. Send me a message in my inbox, and I'll be happy to answer your question. Or if there's a subject that you absolutely want me to talk about on these lives, I'm happy to do it. Okay? Take care. God bless. And don't forget to ask Constance. Peace.